All right, the Rumble's starting.
Cool.
In the ring, first wrestler out is D'Lo Brown.
Interesting entrance.
What, his entrance?
Yes.
Okay.
The way he was walking out.
The bobblehead look?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's D'Lo.
Okay.
Not rocking the chest protector. For a long time, he was doing a gimmick where he had a chest protector because he had an injury, and then they play it up like, oh, is the chest protector helping him in his matches because it's adding more impact to his moves like the frog splash.
Interesting.
I didn't notice in the closed captioning how many minutes were supposedly going in between entries. Of course, the first two are going to start right away. Grandmaster Sexay, a.k.a. Brian Christopher, a.k.a. Brian Lawler, the son of commentator Jerry Lawler.
A.k.a. not a fan.
A.k.a. another wrestler who's since passed away.
R.I.P.
I mean, he was... Before long, it's going to be him and his partner, Scotty 2 Hotty, with the Usos' dad, Rikishi, doing like a dancing gimmick that got over really big.
Interesting.
It's more, he wasn't supposed to be taken super serious.
Yeah.
Maybe at this point the character was, but before long he was going to just be a parody.
Yeah.
So anyway, for the Rumble, obviously you start out with two wrestlers, and every so often another wrestler will come in, and to eliminate your opponent, you throw them out over the top rope until there's only one wrestler left. Different years, it can be a minute in between entrance, it can be 90 seconds, it can be... I don't think I've ever seen more than 2 minutes for a regular Rumble. And it's never consistent. They always just... It's more about when the right moment in the match comes. So if you time it, you're going to get a range from, 49 seconds to a minute 49 to 2:10.
I was going to
but I don't know what the gimmick is this year. I don't remember if it was a minute. Actually, the match only lasts 51 minutes according to the Wrestling Observer write-up. So it's probably a minute in between entrance.
I was going to say, I would imagine...
Maybe 90 seconds, definitely not 2 minutes.
Whatever the timing is, even not being consistent or whatever, I would imagine they wouldn't let it go much longer than it's supposed to be. Maybe fairly shorter, but not much longer than it's supposed to be.
It can go longer, though. Like I said, we've actually sat here and timed it just for the fun of it. And, if it's supposed to be 2 minutes, it can be like 2:30.
I mean,
it's not going to be like 5 minutes.
Yeah,
or anything, but
I was going to say
it's going to be within a minute,
of
one way or the other.
Seconds doesn't seem bad. I was going to say, could they do some sort of selling point where it does just go much longer than it's supposed to be? Maybe even to the point where they're like, okay, can the next person come out?
Probably not, because that would expose too much. Like, people know watching, but they don't really play.
No, I'm just saying, could they have some sort of gimmick storyline thing?
I guess they could have that 1 year, yeah, that's the gimmick, like somebody attacked the timekeeper or something, but...
Well, I was also thinking, like, okay, it's been 2 minutes, the next guy's supposed to come out, and the rating sitting there,
there's been times when
that guy's not coming out. Yeah.
The buzzer went off, and the guy didn't come out for some reason.
Yeah, and then, like, 2 minutes later, they're moving on.
That's either Mosh or Thrasher, one half of the Headbangers, and I have no words for his outfit. He's wearing a skirt and a mesh top with a bra underneath and two big fuzzy cones over his nipples.
The sad reality is I could absolutely see...
And also he's got colorful leggings.
I was going to say the unfortunate reality is that I could totally see some Gen Z
these two guys
TikToker.
That's Taka Michinoku in the ring. I'm not sure which wrestler just got thrown out, but it's one of the other members of the faction Kaientai. Neither one of which are an official entrant, at least at this point. They just ran in to interfere. I guess they were having a feud with the Headbangers or somebody else at this point. I don't remember one way or the other. Pile up in the corner there. Dylan, you okay over there? I mean, Max, I interrupted the Sims talk.
No, I was trying to say, the unfortunate reality is I could totally see some Gen Z TikToker person creating something comparable to that, using those freaking fuzzy worms on a string, but like giant versions of them, you know? And I'm just sitting here like, oh gosh.
Also, he's wearing like, it looks like he's wearing like white briefs over his trunks underneath his
Something's
skirt.
going on.
Because you can see he's got black underneath that, and those don't even look like wrestling trunks. They literally look like a pair of underwear.
Choices were made that day.
I think the Headbangers debuted in the WWF on the ill-fated Shotgun Saturday Night Show as the Flying Nuns. Or the Sisters of Love, I think that's what it was. And they were dressed up in like nun outfits or something with Brother Love, a.k.a. Bruce Pritchard, as their manager.
Okay.
Yeah. 97 was not the best year for wrestling, I'm not gonna lie. Okay, here comes Christian, who we've spoken about multiple times. Major player in AEW right now, along with his storyline brother Edge. Can we just address this now too, that Edge, of course he can't use the Edge name because it's trademarked by WWE. His real name is Adam Copeland. Okay. And apparently WWE doesn't have the trademark on his nickname, the Rated R Superstar, because he's been referred to as that. But now that he's come back from his leg injury, he's the Rated R Superstar Cope. It's like, we need a 4-letter word like Edge. What can we come up with? How about Cope?
Damn, should have been the Red All Superstar Goon.
I mean, I thought Adam...
Edge into Goon.
What's wrong with the Adam... That's good. But what's wrong with the Radar Superstar Adam Copeland? It's perfectly fine. But Cope? I don't know about that, man.
It's so funny.
There's no hope with Cope. Still nobody eliminated yet. We got 4 wrestlers in the ring. One of the great things about the Royal Rumble is the ebbs and flows. You'll have times when the ring gets kind of crowded. You'll have times when it empties out. You know, if I'm referencing anything, I'm referencing the old, 3-minute cartoon that used to come on the Disney Channel, Ebb and Flow.
Ebb and Flow is one of my favorite Splatoon songs.
The fun fact is, I recognize what both of y'all are talking about. Neither means anything to me.
Ebb and Flow doesn't mean anything to you? I used to watch that with you when you were getting ready for school in the morning.
I can recognize it, and I think I've seen some pictures of it recently
in 62
online.
Zoo Lane?
Oh, 64.
64 Zoo Lane?
Yeah, I remember that one. But yeah, no, Ebb and Flow, I've seen pictures. I'm like,
it's okay.
that's familiar.
I was 42 Zoo Lane, so...
You were going to get one of the numbers correct.
Speaking of Rikishi.
But yeah, Ebb and Flow, I don't call quite
real
as
name,
well.
Solo Lafa Fatu, something like that.
Okay.
It's Jay and Jimmy and Solo's dad, to tie it into modern wrestling.
Yes.
And I think this is maybe right before he started doing the dancing gimmick with Too Cool. He was just kind of a badass killer right now.
Mm-hmm.
But it's around this time. I remember distinctly at Backlash and whatever paper he fought, Judgment Day in May. Him and Too Cool doing the dancing gimmick.
Interesting.
And King of the Ring that year too. I could tell a story about King of the Ring, but I'm not going to because y'all would probably get uncomfortable.
It's okay. I'm okay with leaving it at that.
It's the first time I went all the way with your mother. Was the night of the King of the Ring.
I said I was okay with leaving it at that.
I don't want to leave the listeners hanging. I get annoyed when people reference stuff.
You shut up.
Well, it's there. It's there now if people want it.
You should have
saying.
It could have just chilled on the Patreon or something.
You know, it's there now.
It could have been on the Patreon for them.
Okay. No, there's based on the stare down between the two. I think they're probably already doing the team up gimmick, unless maybe this is the point where Too Cool's trying to get Rikishi to be their friend.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I just don't remember the timeline of the Too Cool Rikishi partnership that well to know where we are in it at this point.
Yes.
But obviously, we're at least the beginnings of it, based on this interaction. And here comes the third man in the trio, Scott Taylor, a.k.a. Scotty Too Hottie.
Oh, God.
The innovator of the worm. Not the innovator of the dance move in general, but the one who brought it into wrestling. And look, they're going to get Rikishi. I bet what's going to happen is they're going to get Rikishi dancing, and then he's going to eliminate both of them.
I don't like Rikishi's face hair.
But again, I'm not sure if they're officially a trio at this point, or if they're still trying to get him to be their friend.
Uh-huh.
But here's their little dance routine, so everybody gets to see
You
it.
seeing this, Dylan? So, we've got a few GIFs of this available somewhere, right? Or GIFs, however you want to pronounce it.
Oh, Scotty's going to go into the worm, which he would actually incorporate in wrestling. He would do the worm and then drop an elbow or a fist drop on somebody.
This would have been such a meme.
Oh, this was big time back then. This was one of the fun, silly bits. This is one of the fun bits. You'd have the hardcore, serious stuff, and then you'd have a segment that had some silliness to it. And this was the good silliness. This was the not Mae Young giving birth to her hand silliness. This was the good silliness. Yeah, I told you he was going to eliminate him. I think Rikishi is kind of getting the Diesel treatment here, where he's not going to win, but he's going to be dominant and eliminate a lot of guys throughout the match, kind of establish him as a big deal.
Yeah.
Okay, he's giving him the little dap there. So I think clearly the trio was already united at this point.
You want to know something fun?
What?
Starter Val is only $5 on the App Store.
Okay. Maybe that's how we should get it for Johnny, so we can do our 5-way Star Do.
Probably.
But yeah, if y'all didn't hear me, if anybody else didn't hear me, that's Rikishi, a.k.a. I'm not going to pronounce his first name again, but last name Fatu, part of the Samoan dynasty, and the father of Jimmy and Jay Uso and Solo.
Yes.
Fun fact, Vampire Survivors is free on the App Store.
Rikishi was, this was his, big solo run. I don't know why they're zooming in on his ass there. Oh, he was also the innovator of the stink face, where he would back up to a wrestler in the corner and rub his ass cheeks all over their face.
Hate that.
And this is Steve Blackman, supposedly a legitimate tough guy, a legitimate badass. Never got super over in wrestling, but he had a nice little run here in the WWF. Oh, but anyway, Rikishi goes back, to the 80s at least. He was a member of the Samoan SWAT team, and he was part of the head shrinkers in the WWF in the early 90s. So this was kind of like his big solo run, but he had actually been around for a long time by this point under different names.
Mm-hmm.
Someone's playing The Sims.
No, I'm not.
Someone's playing The Sims.
I literally wasn't. It wasn't even loading. Can you at least lock it so it doesn't die, please?
Blackman out. I don't know how to do it.
Look, it won't even load.
That's a skill issue.
Look, this is the main event. This is the last match on the show. You can settle in. And Rikishi's back by him. This is what I'm talking about the Royal Rumble. I love the way you'll have patches where you have 4 or 5 guys fighting. Then it'll get to the point where you just have one guy and he's kind of, defending his turf. He's the king of the mountain. And then, you get to a bigger group and then it starts to roll down. Then you have the final 4. And then I love the ebbs and flows of the Royal Rumble. It's why it's lasted so long. Like a traditional Battle Royal can be okay, but they're all kind of the same.
Yeah.
But the Royal Rumble is unique. And it's, some are better than others, but the booking ebbs and flows of it really make it stand out. It's like a series of matches in one. I think Bruce Pritchard's described as a series of legal run-ins. Oh, big man battle is the late, I think his name was Nelson Frazier. I don't want to say the wrong name, but Viscera was his ring name at this point. Also wrestled under the name Mabel at one point as a member of Men on a Mission, former King of the Ring.
That's the name I recognized him under.
Viscera?
No,
Mabel.
Mabel, yeah.
Yeah, from the mid-90s.
He's not in contact at the moment.
He is. He was part of Undertaker's, Satanic Ministry of Darkness group. That's where the look comes from.
Interesting.
Big man could move around fairly well. Not the greatest worker.
Yeah.
But, it wasn't bad for a big guy. His match with Diesel at SummerSlam 95 was probably pretty ugly, but it's not his fault. He shouldn't have been in that position. I mean, Rikishi's a big dude. He's not super tall. He's probably, 6'2", maybe. I don't really know
Not
how
super tall,
Rikishi
and
is.
it's 6 foot something.
That's tall for an average person. I mean, the average man is like 5'11", so I think Rikishi's probably
That's fair.
over that. But Viscera's, probably 6'7", and he's not just tall, he's big.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times you'll have a wrestler who's big but not that tall, or who's very tall but not very beefy. Mm-hmm. And these are 2 of the exceptions. Although, like, Rikishi's probably closer to average in height, but looking at him and Viscera, he looks small, but when you see him with other wrestlers, he's a pretty big dude. Viscera never even took his coat off.
Yeah. Just casually wrestling in it and going out in it.
Yeah, a lot of times, somebody as big as Viscera, you'd have the spot where it takes a bunch of wrestlers to team up on him. But like I say, they're giving Rikishi the superstar treatment here, the Diesel spot, where he's going to eliminate a lot of guys on his own. And it'll probably take several wrestlers to eliminate him when it's finally time for him to go out.
That would make sense.
Mabel doesn't look happy about it, but he's got to go. Oh, Big Boss Man. If I didn't say so...
That's a name.
Viscera has since passed away.
Yes.
So has Mr. Ray Traylor, a.k.a. the Big Boss Man. He started out as Big Bubba Rogers. He was Jim Cornette in the Midnight Express's bodyguard. Mm-hmm. And then he went to the WWF, and he was the evil cop, the Big Boss Man. And then he became the babyface cop, the Big Boss Man. Then he had a run in WCW where he started out as the boss, then he became the Guardian Angel, and then he came back to the WWF as the Big Boss Man in the late 90s. Instead of like the traditional blue-on-blue cop outfit, he's got this more SWAT team, black-on-black look.
Yeah.
But Ray was a good end. He was one of the best big man workers of all time.
Can you press the power button, please?
Still refusing to get in the ring.
Friend.
You had my iPad stolen.
I did indeed. Friend.
No, you asked me to press it. I'll find it eventually. There we go.
I was gonna say there's only it's a long one of 4 sides.
No friend.
You don't get your friend's iPad stolen. And you also don't rob them of their jewelry.
Big Boss Man with the middle finger for Rikishi. I'm kind of surprised they didn't blur that out, honestly.
Big Boss. Metal Gear Solid.
The Big Boss Man, yeah, that was his
woman's
name.
chest
You
is
know
more
what? It fits
offensive.
in perfectly fine as a wrestling name. That doesn't stand out as anything particularly silly
Metal
to me.
Gear Solid, Big Boss. Technically, Big Boss was in the original Metal Gear, not.
My parents
Gear
used to
Solid.
think that my Uncle Bruce looked a lot like the Big Boss Man.
And
So much so that in our fantasy wrestling game, my mom had a wrestler called the Big Bruce Man.
Nice.
Fun facts.
Another deceased wrestler, Andrew Martin, aka Test. This is starting to get sad. You've literally met him. I mean, he's dead now too.
How old was I when I met him?
2016.
Oh yeah.
You were 2016 when you met him.
Wow, you're old.
15. Yeah, I maybe. Actually, I do vaguely remember that.
Anyway, can we just point out that I'm starting to get sad knowing all these dead wrestlers?
I'm sorry.
Fun fact. That's also a spoiler. The Big Boss in the original Metal Gear isn't Big Boss.
Like, you expect it to a degree, especially, I mean, this is 25 years ago, and some of these guys were in their 40s. Maybe some of them were even pushing 50.
I don't expect it to some degree only 25 years ago.
Okay, if you're watching something from 25 years ago, the odds are that some people passed away from it is not that great. And there's a good chance that they've
It just depends on what it is. With wrestling,
passed
it's like,
away.
yeah,
But
okay.
and I mean, to be fair, being the Royal Rumble show, there's going to be a lot of wrestlers on this show.
A lot of wrestlers. Some of these wrestlers have, of course, been around a while.
As we talked about, there is a preponderance of
wrestling
of death in wrestling more so than any other. Maybe not any other, but in a lot of other walks of life, even other professional sports, especially wrestlers from the 80s and 90s, and we can talk about the different reasons: drug abuse, steroids, the rigors of the road. And here's another deceased wrestler. David Smith, a.k.a. Davey Boy Smith, a.k.a. the British Bulldog, another expat from WCW, brother-in-law to Bret Hart, who left in the wake of the Montreal Screwjob, got a back injury in WCW, was fired by WCW, came back to the WWF, and within a few years this would also have passed away.
Damn.
Yeah. I didn't expect all the sadness. I should learn by now.
Yeah. Yeah,
I expect it, but like I say, being the Rumble, there's going to be so many, like the whole roster is pretty much going to be on this show, so...
Earlier today, I was scrolling through. Hell. He just stole my phone from me, was trying to point it at my face to unlock it.
I did actually get unlocked.
I had to do that one night when I had to sign into your YouTube account and I needed your phone and you were sleeping, so I just held it up to your face.
Reason not to use Face ID.
I mean, to be fair, we're not going to do anything malicious with your phone.
I
trust y'all. Y'all probably know the password. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Anyway, I was trying to say earlier today, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to watch a bit. And I was debating rewatching a show I've already seen that has a couple movies following it, but I sat there like, yeah, no, I can't sit through that show. Because not only in the most recent movie a certain character unfortunately passes away, but that actress is also passed away now.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting like, I can't sit through watching that actress right this minute.
Who's coming out next? Oh, Gangrel, David Heath.
So casually dressed.
Former husband of Luna Vachon, who we saw earlier, who also has passed away. Not David, Luna has passed away. I don't know if I mentioned that during the beginning. He was doing the vampire gimmick back then.
This is not giving vampire vibes.
Wait, the Victorian shirt, spitting the blood. He's also got
That's not giving Victorian shirt vibes.
He's got vampire fangs.
Well, I couldn't see those.
Yeah, I know. He was vampire.
But that's just giving white button down.
Why didn't he come out in a full Dracula attire?
He was vampire warrior, I think, before he was in the WWE.
He's not even giving 80s vampire vibes.
If it's 80s vampires, a regular 80s person with fangs.
And he's not giving 2010s vampire
like I say,
vibes either.
It would help if you saw more.
That's because of 2010 vampires, some hot
entrance.
guy with fangs.
I was going to say, there's a couple options.
Speaking
in that
of entrance,
department.
too, I just got this. I do not really like this setup of Madison Square Garden. I hate that short entrance way. We talked about it a little bit earlier. Like, I think the best set design for it. I do like the brick and graffiti, but that's only really applying when you're fighting in the alleyway. Like, you don't see it much from here. I think the best setup for it was SummerSlam '98, the year Taker and Austin headlined. Mm-hmm. But in general, I like when they set up the longer. I like the longer entranceway from SummerSlam '91, and I like the big stage that they've used since then. Mm-hmm. Not a fan of this setup. I don't want to say it looks cheap or small time. It just looks small physically, like it's just packed in. And I don't like the huge entranceways like they have in the arenas for WrestleMania, and sometimes when they go to like the baseball stadiums and whatnot.
Yeah. But
I like a bigger aisleway than that. Like, I used to love the ramp that WCW used. I know it kept the wrestlers away from the fans, so you couldn't high-five them necessarily, but I liked it. It looked big time, and I liked some of the bumps you could take on it.
Yeah.
At least visually. I'm sure they might have hurt. Oh, it's Cope.
Hot Edge.
Babyface Edge. He may have been a heel, but like young Edge.
Yeah,
like I was saying with Angle earlier.
Real quick, I'd like to say my personal favorite 2010's vampire is vegetarian with pink and black pigtails and a gothic miniskirt. And like knee-high pink boots. So.
My baby says vampire.
Oh gosh, I remember that.
I got a rep for Twilight Vampires.
So Pete.
3 different 2010 vampires there.
I'm sorry, the super intelligence, the speed, the strength, I could be a Twilight.
Boing!
My babysitter's vampire, they can go out in the sun as long as they wear sunglasses.
I know, it's Pete.
Personally, mine was Dracula from Monster High. That is truly peak.
Yeah, the sparkly bit in Twilight's a little, but I do like that idea they don't get burned by the sun, because that'd be kind of cliche, too.
Yeah.
So at least they try to do something different with that. I can respect that. It's not necessarily the best idea, but it's not the worst either.
Yeah, Dracula has to pretty much avoid the sun, for the most part, because she can use... I do think it's a fictional type, but she can use sunscreen and whatnot and sit under an umbrella while they're out at the beach.
I do like the idea of kind of subverting some of the cliches while, playing into others.
I remember, it is shown in the show and whatnot, but especially in the books, it talks about, like, she doesn't appear in mirrors, and she's sitting there trying to do her makeup and whatnot.
We just saw Taki get thrown over the top, but again, I don't think he's actually officially entered, so I don't think we've actually had an elimination for a while here. The ring's starting to fill up. We got 6 guys in it.
Interesting.
Okay, guys, which is cooler, vampires or werewolves?
I like vampires.
Yeah, I gotta go vampires.
I like werewolves.
Dracula dated a werewolf. Speaking of him, and his best friend's with one.
Oh my goodness.
What?
Bob Backlund.
Whoa. Where's that dead one? I was like, where'd you take the Claudine?
Bob Backlund, who had the second longest world title reign ever in the WWF. But I mean, he's got to be over 50 at this point.
Dear God.
Because his title reign would have ended in '83 when he lost it to the Sheik, who would then lose it to Hulk Hogan. And that was, at this point, 17 years. Be in his early 50s, or maybe late 40s at this point, but definitely past his prime. That's a bit of a surprise. He'd been doing kind of he did come back and wrestle for a while in like '94. And then kind of spun it off into a crazy manager gimmick. But that was the last time we saw him, and that would have been like a year prior to this. He did come back to do a little skit with Mick where he and the Iron Sheik were both trying to... and Mick's former real-life trainer, Dominic DeNucci, were trying to train Mick for his world title match. Not the one he with Triple H, the series he had with The Rock. Rikishi's been eliminated, and we all missed it.
No, I saw it, but we were talking.
Oh, well, what happened? Was it a big group of people, or...?
I didn't notice that much.
Don't say you saw it if you can't
I saw him going out, and I saw the commentary saying he'd gone out.
It might have been a deal where he was going for a move and somebody ducked. Was it something like that, maybe?
Possibly, because I don't recall seeing, like, a big group or anything. I saw him go out.
Anyway, Dylan, there's a new Metroidvania that features, like, an anthropomorphic wolf character.
Ooh, badass.
I'll show it to you after the podcast, but it looked like something you would like.
Yeah, but I like werewolves more.
It's called something like Akiva.
Akiva.
I'm not sure. What? Are you going to actually pay attention to that?
Yes, I'm paying attention. I wanted to look something up, and then I said, oh shit, because I received that my phone's dying.
I feel like a teacher's having to take stuff away from their students because they're not paying attention.
You didn't take it away from him because she was using it. I was using it.
Hey man, to be fair, that happens in classrooms. Here comes Trumpico.
I still have my phone.
Then he's in the Rumble after having a match.
Yeah, that's not uncommon.
He's not gonna win.
I mean, you gotta fill up the match with 30 wrestlers. That's
true.
Even with a big roster, there's probably gonna be some doubling up. And Backlund's gone.
Oof.
I mean, you see they're having trouble filling up the match because they had Bob Backlund in it. So they didn't have that deep a roster at this point.
Yeah. So,
no offense to Bob, but I mean, he wasn't exactly a mainstream
happened
wrestler at this point.
That either they have not had that many wrestlers at a time.
They did 40 one year.
God damn. I was going to say, have there been years where that just either hasn't been that many wrestlers and therefore they didn't do that many, or there hasn't been that many active ones, so you see a fair few guys coming back that don't typically
The first Royal Rumble, which was actually a television special meant to compete with WCW's Bunkhouse Stampede pay-per-view, that was only a 20-man Battle Royal. Every other year it's been 30, except I do think one year they did 40. I may be mistaken on that, but I'm pretty sure. As far as filling up the Rumble, they've always had the number of wrestlers advertised, unless there was a case where maybe they did a gimmick where a wrestler just never showed up. Like they were supposed to come out and they didn't, and it was an angle they were working. But as far as wrestlers just on the current main roster, oftentimes that's augmented by other wrestlers, people coming back or people coming from another organization, or like occasionally they've had a gimmick like Drew Carey came into the Royal Rumble one year. So it hasn't always been 30 active current wrestlers in the promotion. But I mean, that's also become part of the gimmick over the years, is people coming back or people making one-shot appearances. It hasn't always been just because they couldn't fill up the ring with that many wrestlers. But that's just been part of the gimmick. But some years they might have done it because of that. Yes, oftentimes. Were they just spanking Crash?
Who knows?
Davey Boy and Edge had Crash like hanging over the top rope with his butt up in the air. And I think Edge was just spanking him.
Pissing me off. I want the marble.
You don't get the marble.
The marble's trapped. I want the marble.
Mike Lockwood, a.k.a. Crash Holly, also deceased.
Damn.
4 of the wrestlers in the ring right now have since passed away. Out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, out of 7 wrestlers. So over half of the wrestlers in the ring right now have passed away. And Jericho might as well be dead. And Edge is calling himself Cope, so his career is dead. And Gangrel's a vampire, so he's like the living dead. So pretty much the whole ring is dead. In one way or another.
Vampire.
6,
There's men
5,
in a ring
4,
beating each other
2, 1. Who's coming out next? It's The Rock. Oh, it's China.
Oh, China.
Nice. Yeah, that is nice, actually.
I try to make China.
Looks at China that.
China the first.
That's not what I meant.
China the first, but not the last female to compete in the Royal Rumble. Of course, nowadays we have a men's and women's Rumble. But even in the era of the men's and women's Rumble, we've seen women participate in the men's Rumble. I know Leah Maivia. Not Leah. What's her name? Leah's Rock's mom. Who's his cousin?
Nia.
Yeah, Nia Jax. She competed in the men's Rumble one year. I know Edge's wife, Beth Phoenix, she was in the men's Rumble back when it was just a single Rumble. And I think there's probably been a couple other women competing in the men's Rumble.
Yeah, but that is what I was saying. China
was the first, but it wasn't this year. She just eliminated Jericho, a little bit of payback after he won. And Big Boss Man eliminated China.
Oh.
Wow.
But
gotta be careful saying
but saying China does not look nice?
No, I'm not insulting China.
I think the 99 Rumble was when China was the first woman to make an appearance in the Rumble. And we watched that on the pay-per-view a couple years ago, I remember.
I just thought it was nice to see a female wrestler in the ring with the men.
Well, she's gone now.
Well, yeah, now she is, but she wasn't.
I think she stuck around a little bit longer in 99.
Nice.
This is more just continuing her little storyline with Jericho. Before, like I say, after too long, she's going to get spun off into a storyline with Eddie Guerrero, which was kind of silly, but it was a lot of fun too. I enjoy the China Jericho. I enjoy the China Guerrero relationship much more than the China Jericho relationship.
I've seen a lot of people make comparisons between Dom and Eddie, and Dom's doing a lot
of Eddie on purpose too. Here comes Big Ron, aka Farouk.
Nice.
And here comes the Mean Street Posse.
Just random people jumping in the ring.
It's wrestling.
Shane McMahon's buddies, two of which were legitimately Shane's buddies. Okay, Mean Street Posse, the guys who just interfered.
Yes.
Two of which were legitimately Shane McMahon's friends who just came in to be part of an angle leading up to Shane's first match at WrestleMania 99 and then actually became wrestlers. The third of which was an actual trained wrestler who they brought into the group to supplement them and actually kind of be the worker of the group.
Mm-hmm.
Feels like a lot more people
I don't know
into the ring randomly.
How much interference there is in the Rumble, but interference is common as hell.
Well, yeah, but it doesn't feel like it's very common in the Rumble.
I'm sure there's probably at least
much.
one run-in every other year, maybe.
There's a lot of one-ins.
Yeah, but this is the era for that too. This is late Attitude Era. This is the era of outside interference and brawls outside the ring, and so it fits the tone of what wrestling was. Like I say, they're transitioning into a little bit more wrestling-oriented product, but
Dylan, earlier we were discussing vampires, and you briefly thought Dracula and Cleo dating. That reminded me of the current iteration of Monster High, where they've actually changed it, where not Cleo. I didn't even mean Cleo to begin with. We were thinking Claudine.
Road Dogg in the ring now.
But they've changed it now where Claudine's like crushing on Deuce or whatever, and Cleo and Frankie were hinted at possibly ending up together. I've found out, though, because TikTok loves to show me Monster High content, that, or at least supposedly, they never end up together, and the show ended after season 2. And
Tragedy.
And as far as the movies go, I don't know whether or not they were ever a thing in the movies, but also, supposedly, there was possibly going to be a third one, and there might still be, but it might also be getting canceled, so.
Tragedy.
Mattel might be moving away from this iteration.
Can we just say you guys were poo-pooing Boss Man, but he's been staying in for a while.
I didn't say anything.
He's been hanging in there.
I say he has a good name.
I mean, when I started watching wrestling, he was already an established character, but that doesn't sound like a weird wrestling name to me. The Big Boss Man.
Yeah, I mean,
Big. He's the big boss, man.
it's not the weirdest name for
he's
wrestling.
the Big Boss Man.
It's not like a name, but it's not that weird. Not as a wrestling name.
I mean,
Somebody
is it any
just went
weirder than
Coco
Triple
Loco,
fucking
I thought.
H?
Who's the guy in the trunks right there laying down?
That's Crash Holly.
It looked... I guess he didn't actually
The
hit
late Mike Lockwood
floor.
was getting spanked by Cope earlier.
Looked like he almost went out.
Yeah, but you can't go out under the rope. You have to go over the top
Yeah,
rope.
he went over the top, but he didn't go to the
You
floor.
have to go over the top rope and hit the floor before you go back into the ring.
Yeah, he didn't
Both
actually
feet
hit
have to
the
hit the
floor.
floor, too.
Mm-hmm.
And there's Al Snow.
Damn.
I apologize for the
Al
voice
Snow
that
came to
made.
prominence in ECW in around 97 because he would carry a mannequin head to the ring and he'd talk to it and kind of act like he was crazy and was hearing voices from the mannequin head, but of course it was really just an excuse for the crowd to chant, head, 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 head.
Why?
Late 90s.
90s were weird.
I mean, what's wrong with a little head? I think everybody can
think
agree
it's
on. I think everybody can
switching
agree
one
on that. I think that's
I feel
something
like
everybody can
every
agree on.
decade has probably been weird, but still.
How many people we got right now? 2,
1,
3,
2,
4,
3,
5. They changed the
7.
camera angle, so now I'm off. I want to say 6. It's 6.
Is it?
It's Gangrel, Big Boss Man, Crash Holly, Edge, and 2 other people who I forget.
Oh, Edge.
Al Snow is in there. And then
Yeah, I guess it's 6.
I just dropped Bruce
We
out
got
on
3
the floor.
different pairings of 2 now, it looks like.
And
No.
Test is in
1,
there.
2, 3, 4, 5,
Oh
6,
yeah,
7.
Road Dogg's in there too. Okay, I
Okay,
overlooked
what's
somebody
7?
earlier. I'm sorry. Not the best crossbody block there by Edge.
I'm sorry.
6, 5,
4, 3, 2, 1. You weren't actually timing
commentary said
any
it
of
was-
this, were you?
Huh?
Said you weren't actually timing any of
I
this, were
wasn't.
you?
I could start after that. Like,
Yeah.
I could start with the next one if y'all would like me.
Yeah, yeah, we should
Sure.
see how accurate this.
I didn't want to get
was.
too distracted because I wasn't trusting y'all to carry the commentary. That's
fair.
that's another
should
shithead in
never
real
trust
life,
me.
Sean Morley.
Somebody
playing.
else is running out here.
That's Sean Morley as Val Venus, the former porn star in Storyline, and just real life shithead.
Okay.
I'll just refer you to his Twitter if you want to hear some of the bullshit he's spouted off about. I don't personally care to quote any of it.
That's probably reasonable.
Personally, I wouldn't even bother with it if I were you. But if you're curious, you can check it out. I enjoyed his work as Val Venus. The hello, ladies, and I mean the porn star gimmick clearly wasn't going to be WWF champion, but I thought he was good as a mid card act, and he was a solid enough worker and a good interview. He was part of the famous angle where, okay, the guy you just saw flip out of the ring there, Taka Michinoku, and the other Asian man with the blue outfit who's interfered a couple of times, they were part of the sect Kai and Tai.
Uh huh.
And the gimmick was that Val had slept with Taka's sister, or maybe their manager's sister or daughter or something like that, and they kidnapped him and they were going to cut his dick off with a samurai sword, aka choppy his pee-pee. And they actually showed it, and then it went dark, and then Val explained that fortunately it was cold in there, so he was suffering from shrinkage, so the sword missed his dick.
What the actual hell is wrestling?
That's just 90s era WWE. That's not wrestling. No.
What year was that?
98.
Good gosh.
What the hell is wrestling?
Oh, here comes, what's his real name? Matt Bourne. No, Matt Bourne was Doink. What is his? I think it's Matthew something. I think he and I share a first name.
Okay.
Don't quote me, but his wrestling name at this point is Prince Albert.
Okay.
Which of course is a penis piercing. But that was it. He had a lot of piercings. And so that was the name he came in with, was Prince Albert.
Oh, I'm just saying this is information I was aware of, but it's not the information I immediately think of when I hear Prince Albert.
Look it up. It's a piercing through the head of your penis.
I'm aware of that.
Well, then why did you say you don't think of it when you hear Prince Albert?
Because there's actually a prince, too!
Yeah, but... Matt Bloom, that's his name. I knew he and I shared a first name. I'm not saying I'm proud of that. I'm not saying I'm not either, no disrespect, man. I think he's worked a lot as a trainer now, or in years since he was finished wrestling.
Pokemon trainer?
Yeah, see, I did want to double check that I wasn't mixing up history, but yeah, that was the husband of Queen Victoria.
Okay, well, he's been immortalized as a penis piercing since then.
I was pretty sure that was one of the lessons on kinky history, but that is just not where my mind immediately goes.
Well, that's what they were trying to elicit. Oh, wait, I gotta start timing. Hold on. Oh, can I get the stopwatch up?
2, 1.
Go, start timing.
I did.
Okay.
Well, Bob Holly. Storyline cousin of Crash Holly. The guy Mike Lockwood that we've talked about who was getting spanked by Edge earlier. In storyline, they're cousins. In real life, I don't even know if they were friends.
Just co-workers.
Also, Molly Holly, who also wrestled as Miss Madness in WCW originally. She was their storyline cousin as well.
Interesting.
She may have appeared in a men's rumble. Maybe not. Maybe I'm just thinking about her coming back for one of the women's rumbles. I liked her when she was the superhero with. She was Mighty Molly along with Sean Helm's portrayal of the Hurricane, the superhero character.
Yeah.
I thought they were a fun duo. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 wrestlers in the ring right now. Probably the most we've had at one point this year.
Yeah.
So how about all that action at the Royal Rumble this year? That was great. That women's rumble was crazy, wasn't it? Can you believe the way it finished?
Watch none of it turn out to be that exciting.
Of course, if you missed what I said earlier, we're recording the show before the 2025 Rumble has occurred, even though it's actually going to post afterwards. So,
yeah.
We have no idea what happened. By the time this goes up, we'll know what happened, but
as of recording,
we're not recording an addendum or anything to it.
Exactly.
We'll do a special review of the Royal Rumble on our YouTube channel. Probably not, but maybe. But don't count on it, I'm just saying. If it appears, great. If it doesn't... Oh, fans are going for
what if something major happens? Then would you add something onto this episode?
I would not add on to this episode because I just wouldn't have time.
Mm-hmm.
But we could, like I say, sit down and do a special review just for YouTube or something.
Are we paying attention to the timer stuff?
Oh, shoot. It was under 2 minutes. It was about one... I'll have to restart after the next guy, but yeah, it was about 1:50 when Rock came in.
Okay.
No, I wasn't. I was trying to do a podcast. So. Maybe we should have put Dylan in charge of the timer.
Maybe.
Dylan's not really doing anything else.
Sitting over... Are you reading through WWE Reddit?
No.
The Rock has entered the match and immediately eliminated Big Boss.
Can you wrestle in Undertale?
I got distracted.
Okay, Dad, make some matches for Undertale. Make some matches, Gabby can tell us who would win and why. Assuming that it's not scripted.
Time. The
human not allowed. Monsters only.
Well, to be fair, it's not necessarily a fight to the death. It's an athletic competition waged within set rules. So
true.
Undyne, Asgore are like the strongest ones.
It's not always a matter of strength.
Toyo could, but
technique matters too, and endurance.
I want to see that one kid win.
Which monster?
Monster Kid, yeah.
He has no arms.
No arms.
I don't
Yeah,
care.
yeah.
He would
no
definitely be
arms.
now, to be fair,
Fey,
there have been
motherfucker.
Sorry.
there have been wrestlers with only one leg. At least two.
Well,
All right, here we go.
That's
Timer's
the
coming up.
underdog
3,
that I want to see.
2, 1. All right, starting the timer. Who's coming in? Oh, Billy Gunn.
Little Vulcan.
Yeah.
Who also has no arms.
My favorite Undertale was no arms.
Billy Gunn, also a prominent member
Obviously,
of the
he's
current
playing in
AEW
every
roster,
match.
and both of his sons are wrestlers for AEW. Billy Gunn, the only member of the 4-man DX who's not still associated with WWE.
Interesting.
Because Triple H runs WWE, Shawn runs NXT, and I know Road Dogg is part of the creative team in the WWE.
Interesting.
And Sean Waltman just shows up in the crowd at other big shows.
I'd imagine Papyrus is not winning a whole lot of matches, honestly.
Yeah, my bone attack will pin you in 1,
Big character, big talk, not a lot of winning.
I mean, the thing
Crash
is,
Holly eliminated.
Papyrus is actually canonically pretty tough.
He's
just
actually really freaking tough.
Yeah, he's just
too
very
big-hearted.
soft boy. Yeah. He's pretty strong. It doesn't really.
This is like my least favorite Royal Rumble
1-2.
spot when the guy's like up in the
Would
corner.
Sands win a lot of matches?
He's really strong, but way too lazy to
I think I've
actually
officially
fight.
lost control.
I'm sorry, Matt.
Sands would not win a match. He literally only does stuff at.
He's just there to further the story.
I mean, I could see him in a Royal Rumble style match. He just moves when somebody tries to hit him and they
Yeah.
get eliminated. So he'd probably last a while in the Rumble.
Yeah, he's like sitting in the corner the whole time, like no one even knows him. It's like, wait, how long has Sands been here? He just leaves the ring.
Okay, we have
the bomb wall.
We have 2 different WWE games and an AEW
What just
game.
happened?
So I think Crash Holly just left.
Okay. And somebody else is coming
Sands would
out.
literally just
Okay,
not
Big
even.
Show's coming out now. It's
Oh,
about
nice.
140. I'm not sure exactly when the time went off because I was talking to y'all, but we were in the 140 range. So I'm guessing maybe 2 minutes was the gimmick and they just went under on these.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it was a minute and a half and they're going over.
Remember the TV show?
Which one?
Big Show's
Oh yeah,
show?
the Disney Channel show.
Yeah.
It was cute.
I just that just occasionally pops in my mind every now and then.
Big Show's a pretty entertaining guy. Big too, like legitimately big. I haven't met him, but I've seen him in person.
Yeah.
And just from whatever my vantage point was to him, he looks massive.
Yeah.
Like I know that's what people would say about Andre. Like Andre the Giant wasn't even 7 feet tall. Maybe he came close to 7 feet tall in his prime, but he was really more like 6'10". But he was just such a physical presence, and even in the pictures, you can see, like you can tell he's not that much taller than the next person, but he's just so massive. And Big Show's not quite as big as Andre as far as proportionally, but he is just a huge specimen, and he looks it too when you see him in real life. I think Big Show might actually be legitimately taller than Andre. I think he might have him by an inch or two.
Damn.
Not sure, not having known either one of them personally, but they're both very tall, very big men.
I think Undyne is probably the strongest non-boss monster in Naruto.
Again, it's like we just exist in 2 different worlds.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Of course, Toya and Asgard the strongest.
That show was
monsters
unfortunately canceled
regularly.
because it just wasn't popular enough. And with COVID, they couldn't do a live studio audience.
Toya
Here
and
come the Mean Street Posse again since Bradshaw, the other half of the Acolytes, came in.
Toya and Asgard are both incredibly strong, but they go easy on you in the game.
Well, so what I was saying is we have 3 different modern wrestling games. I think we can make an Undertale Battle Royal happen.
Yes.
And I think we should.
Yes.
One of my friends,
Check that out at youtube.com/appvdctv. Or right here if you're listening to this on YouTube.
yeah,
Unless you're listening to the clip of it on LexiCon on YouTube, then youtube.com/appvdctv.
one of my friends, they're out running errands recently, and they stopped by GameStop to pre-order the next Wrestling 2K game. We have one
That's
of
my
those
favorite
games.
game series, Wrestling 2K.
Wrestling
I
2K.
think people know what I was referring to.
we have 2 of those games.
Wrestling 2K,
all I know is
basketball
I
2K.
bought one of them, and I touched it once.
You touched it once.
Something like that.
Didn't play it, just touched it.
Just put it in the system. That's as far as I got.
It was actually stuck inside of our PlayStation 4 for a while.
What happened?
Well, we just disconnected the PlayStation 4 because we got a PlayStation 5 and we forgot to take the disc out.
Always take the disc out before disconnecting your game
Eventually we
consoles.
plugged it back up and got it back out after we realized it was in there. But
Whoopsie daisy.
10.
How many
Okay. I'm
people
gonna
are
do the
there?
timer again.
What?
How many more people are there?
I honestly don't know.
We're getting toward the end because I don't think Big Show would have been in too long. All right, starting the timer again.
Ooh, it went dark.
Kane or Taker maybe. Yeah, it's Kane.
Meh.
Another fucking Trump supporter. Another asshole who
Taker
wants to
was cooler.
who wants to say that his supporters' right to own guns is more important than the lives of school children. So again, fuck that piece of shit. But I didn't know any of that back then, so I was a fan. Unfortunately, when you learn about the real people behind the gimmick, sometimes it's not so flattering.
I recently heard that there was some sort of law or something that prohibited the sale, in certain scenarios at least, the sale of guns to people between 18 and 21, and that's being undone or whatever. It has been ruled no longer constitutional.
Kane, the wrestling character, he's had that sort of Rikishi Diesel moment before where he was the dominant force, and he didn't win the Rumble, but he'd eliminate a lot of guys
Yeah.
in the middle and, take a lot to get him out.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should be getting near that. Like I say, some of the,
Has anybody been counting how many people there are?
I mean, spoilers. I know who wins it, and I know who the last two are, and they're in the ring already. So, and they're not guys I would think would spend 40 minutes in the ring. So, I did start the timer again, but for all I know, Kane was entering 30.
Okay. No, because we've got another countdown going.
Go. Oh yeah, we're gonna be about a minute 30 on this one.
Oh wow.
So maybe that was the gimmick. Maybe it was 90 seconds. Because we were at 131 by my count for that one.
Alright.
Oh, The Godfather.
Brightly colored.
Pimpin' ain't easy. One of the best fun Attitude Era characters. I mean, in real life, I think pimps are shit, but this is just the fun, cartoony kind of pimp.
Uh-huh.
Some of the ladies from the local gentleman's establishment, probably. Anyway, it's New York City. There's probably several of them nearby.
I wouldn't know.
Yeah, he didn't have like a regular troupe of valets that came in. They just, whatever city they were in, whoever was available. And now Kaya ties back again. At least one of the members. Oh, it's Funaki. Okay, I didn't know if it was Funaki or Dick to go. And again, being eliminated when he's not even in the match.
Haven't they been out here like 4 times now?
Yeah, something like that.
This is the same person running out.
Same 2 people. Yeah. It was him and Taka. Yeah, within the next year, the Godfather would turn heel and join the Right to Censor, which was a parody of the Parents Television Council, who were coming down on the WWF for their content. Mm-hmm. And he'd, just have the black and white suit and be real stoic and not be the fun-loving character anymore. I think that was one of the big mistakes.
Got another countdown going.
I don't have a problem with him doing that gimmick in general. Mm-hmm. But they shouldn't have turned Godfather. He was fun like he was. He didn't need to be anything other than he was.
It would have been a drastic and disappointing.
That one's right at 132, so either they're really cutting it here at the end, or it probably was 90 seconds and some of them just went over. Mm-hmm. They said he got the lucky draw, so this might have been 30.
Alright.
And that's X-Pac, the other member of DX. We saw him earlier interfering in the match. The real-life Sean Waltman, who I first saw as the Lightning Kid when he was wrestling for GWF back in like 91, 92. Had a really good series of matches with Jerry Lynn over the light heavyweight title. And would eventually show up in the WWF with multiple different monikers. He might have been the Lightning Kid one week, just the Kid one week, and then he got the upset victory over the late Scott Hall, a.k.a. Razor Ramon, and that's when he became the 1-2-3 Kid. And he was part of the behind-the-scenes clique with Shawn Michaels and Hall and Kevin Nash and Hunter Hearst Helmsley. And then he would go to WCW as part of the NWO and become 6. Because he was supposed to be the 6th member, and I guess technically, or maybe he was supposed to be an earlier member, and by the time he cleared his contract and everything, he became the 6th member. But he became 6, and then he got fired by Eric Bischoff, and then he came back to the WWF and joined the reconstituted DX after WrestleMania 98, after Shawn left with the back injury, and he became, his nickname was 6-Pac, like a playoff on Tupac.
Yeah.
In WCW, and then he became X-Pac when he joined DX, which
Makes
is probably
sense.
the name he's most known under.
Probably.
Again, the real life Sean Waltman.
Have you just seen a couple people go out?
Yeah, several people. Rock just eliminated Al Snow. Godfather looks like he's been eliminated. He didn't even get to take his vest off.
No.
Oh,
Oof.
and Billy Gunn just eliminated his tag team partner.
Oof. Welcome to the Rumble.
So this is the final 5, I guess, of this. But the final 4 is always kind of a big deal in the Rumble. Maybe every year we don't get a final 4, but
Kane took that guy out.
this year we got a final 4 where you got The Rock, Kane, Big Show, and X-Pac, with The Rock, Kane, and Big Show being the most likely winners, and X-Pac kind of being the underdog amongst the group. Because again, at this point, as it is now, the winner of the Rumble would get the title shot at WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm. Kane is currently not in the ring, but he did not go out.
Right. Billy Gunn pulled him out under the bottom rope.
Yeah.
So when you get down to the final 4, a lot of times a couple guys will be legitimate contenders and 1 or 2 will be like, well, they're not going to win. So that's like the fun gimmick of the Rumble is like, oh, anybody can win, but you really know there's only a few people who are going to have a chance to win.
This is really entertaining to see so many people and doing this and that.
No, the Rumble match, even a bad Rumble's fun.
Yeah.
Some are definitely better than others, but there's always something entertaining about a Rumble. That's why it's probably the most popular pay-per-view, aside from WrestleMania every year.
Really? Is SummerSlam behind it?
I'd put SummerSlam behind it. I know WWF presents SummerSlam as like the WrestleMania of the summer, but I think
Survivor Series be after SummerSlam?
Yeah, I think Survivor Series would easily be the lowest of the big 4. Even though I enjoy Survivor Series, whether they're doing the brand versus brand gimmick or the elimination matches, or even now with War Games. I've always enjoyed Survivor Series. But I've always enjoyed the others too, as long as they had a good card. But I think for fan interest, I think Rumble would be second, because it's sort of, it sets the tone for WrestleMania. It starts WrestleMania season, and it's just the excitement of the Rumble match. And like I say, even though there's only a handful of wrestlers who have a chance to win it, there's always going to be something entertaining about it. I do think this is the one pay-per-view, even more so than WrestleMania or SummerSlam, that would benefit from being split into 2 days. Yeah. Because once you've watched one of the Rumble matches, it's exhausting to try to watch the other one.
Kane is out.
Yep, eliminated by X-Pac, who was his tag team partner at one point. They had us kind of big guy, little guy tag team.
Interesting. And
at this point, it was like, it's clear it's going to be Big Show or Rock.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, honestly, I think it was pretty clear it was going to be from the beginning. But just based on who was being pushed at the time and what storyline they were building to. Oh, military press, and X-Pac is out. And it's down to Rock and Big Show.
Rock looks so small next to him.
I told you Big Show's a big guy.
I was going to say, and Rock I don't think he's that small.
No, he's at least too. Like wrestling heights and weights are exaggerated, but Rock's at least 6'2".
Yeah.
And he's, he's way over 2 bills.
It's time for the greatest wrestling move of all time.
The People's Elbow, one of the most ridiculous moves of all time. But look, it's over. I'm not going to deny that. But it's silly. But yeah, I do think they should split the Rumble into 2 days now, because then you could alternate who main events day 1 and who main events day 2, and you could build up the rest of the show with really good. It'd give you a chance to put some more matches on the undercard, and it would stretch out the Rumble so it wouldn't be so exhausting, because you start the show with one. By the time that's over, you've seen one match and you feel like, okay, I've seen the show. Like, I'm still going to watch the rest of the show, but man, it can be exhausting. I've used that word multiple times. I apologize that my lexicon has betrayed me on the LexiCon.
Huh.
Okay, I'm seeing that a lot of things say The Rock is 6'5". A lot of people think he's actually 6'2".
6'5" is his advertised height. Mm-hmm. That's why I say wrestling heights are exagerated, and I don't know him personally. But
people have also said, some people say that they're
both going over. Who's hit? Who hit? I know who hit. I'm just saying that.
The guy from Fortnite.
Say that he appears more 6'2".
Huh?
Peely?
You said the guy from Fortnite. So that he appears more 6'2", because standing next to Cena, he doesn't look that different in Cena.
And unlike Bad Loser Mick Foley, Big Show just walks out. He doesn't go back and attack the Rock or anything. Actually,
the guy from Fortnite won.
At some point,
everybody's in Fortnite.
I don't know. I don't remember what the deal is. Either they're going to say that Rock and Big Show might have touched simultaneously, or maybe Big Show beat him in a match on the pay-per-view after this. They actually wrestle for the WWE title shot. So there's some controversy coming out of this. Like I said, I don't know if Big Show beats him in another match to win it, and then Rock has to win it back.
Yeah.
And actually, it does. It ends up being a 4-way at WrestleMania, so Rock doesn't even get the one-on-one match. It ends up being Big Show, Mick Foley, Triple H, and The Rock for the title. And Triple H becomes the first heel to ever win or retain the WWF Championship at WrestleMania on WrestleMania 2000. And then Rock would win it from him in the following pay-per-view, Backlash 2000, which is one of my all-time favorite pay-per-views, which I don't have any plans to watch on the show, but now that I'm saying it, we might check it out. Because I do really I don't know if it'd be that great of a podcast episode, but it's a really good show. I would recommend checking out, especially if you like just good, solid wrestling from this era. Lots of good matches. Dean Malenko and Scotty 2 Hotty, Eddie Guerrero and S.A. Rios. Kurt Angle and the Big Show have kind of a comedy match where Big Show comes out and imitates Hulk Hogan. But lots of good wrestling on that show. This was a good era for in-ring wrestling, especially for what you were going to get from the WWE.
Makes sense.
And now Rock's going to do a little bit of crowd work with the mic. I know they have not shown a shot of them going over, so I'm wondering if Rock accidentally did hit the floor at the same time as Big Show.
Maybe
that's what led into the matches.
Because the clips that they
well, anytime they're going to do something like that, they're going to shoot from the other side first and then make sure it's clean before the show. Like the year they referenced earlier when Shawn became the first wrestler to ever go from number 1 and win it all, and they did a spot similar to that where he and Davey Boy went over at the same time. I think Davey Boy threw him over and Shawn was like holding on and only one of his feet hit, and then he came back in and eliminated Davey Boy.
Yeah.
But of course, they shot it from the other angle first and made sure they had a clean shot and that Shawn had not touched both of his feet down.
Yeah, I was going to say the only clips that they haven't shown.
Oh wait, I spoke too soon. Big Show was a sore loser.
Mm-hmm.
Big Show threw him over, but he held on to the rope. So Big Show went completely.
We saw it from behind,
the
but we're not sure if they hit at the same time or who actually hit first.
I was going to say, from what we can see, Rock didn't hit.
And we could easily check it out and watch the Raw from the next night and see what they're showing, but I'm not that concerned about it at this point, honestly. You're welcome to go check it out if you want to.
This was 25 years ago.
Would have been the January 24th Raw from 2000, so check that out if you want to. But I know it leads into they have a match with the title shot on, at least one match with the title shot on the line at the pay-per-view after this, which also featured the Mick Foley Triple H Hell in a Cell retirement match, and then it would wind up being a 4-way match at WrestleMania.